31 minutes. That is how long Marcus sat on the side of the road. He was not a criminal. He was a paramedic. 11 years on the job in North Carolina. He was driving back from a hospital appointment for his knee. Clean record, registration current, insurance paid up. The officer pulled him over for a cracked windshield. Marcus did everything right. Dome light on, both hands flat on the wheel, license and registration ready before the officer reached the window. Calm voice, short answers. Yes, sir. No, sir. Then the officer leaned back from the window and said it. I am going to call in a canine unit for a free air sniff. Marcus did not know what that meant. He did not know if he had to wait. He did not know if he could refuse. He did not know how long they could legally keep him there. So he did what most people do when they are scared and uninformed. He waited. He answered every question. He let the dog walk around his car twice. The dog signaled. Officers searched the entire vehicle. 40 minutes on the side of the road. His name entered into a law enforcement database. His glove box emptied on the hood. His personal medical records from the appointment. Visible to two officers who had no legal right to see them. They found nothing. No drugs, no weapons, nothing illegal. Marcus was free to go. But that record of the stop, the search, the database flag, that followed him for 18 months before his attorney got it expunged. Expunged means legally erased. It means like it never happened. But the damage to his reputation during those 18 months was real. Not because he was a criminal, because no one had told him the rules had changed, and no one had told him what to say. Today that changes. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what your rights are when an officer calls for a canine, exactly how long they can legally hold you, and exactly what to say at every stage to protect yourself from what happened to Marcus. This channel exists to give you that knowledge before you need it, not after. People who do not know this learn it the hard way, on the side of a road, watching a dog circle their vehicle, not knowing whether they have any rights left. Subscribe right now. Turn on notifications, because the next video in this series covers something just as important, and you do not want to miss it. Now let us get into the law. Here is the legal problem at the center of all of this. When an officer pulls you over, that stop has a legal time limit. It must last no longer than the time needed to complete the purpose of the stop. That purpose means writing the ticket, checking your license, running your registration. Once that task is done, the stop is over in the eyes of the law. This comes from the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures. Seizure means being detained, held in place by law enforcement. A traffic stop is a seizure. It is legal only as long as it serves its stated purpose. But canine units change everything. A drug-sniffing dog walking around the outside of your car, that is not a search under the law. The Supreme Court ruled that the outside air around your vehicle is not your private property. An officer does not need your consent or a warrant to walk a dog around your car. What the officer does need, and this is the protection that most drivers never hear about, is a lawful reason to extend the stop long enough for the dog to arrive. That ruling came down in Rodriguez v. United States in 2015. 9 justices. The decision was clear and direct. The most important traffic stop ruling in a generation. An officer cannot extend a traffic stop, even by 1 minute, for the sole purpose of waiting for a canine, not without reasonable suspicion of a separate crime. Reasonable suspicion means specific, articulable facts, real, describable things the officer observed, that suggest criminal activity beyond the original violation. Not a feeling, not a hunch. Real facts they can describe and defend in court. If the dog arrives while the officer is still completing the original stop, that is lawful. If the officer finishes the stop and then holds you there waiting for the dog, that is a constitutional violation. That means everything found during that search may not be allowed in court. Your detention ended when the ticket was ready. Every second after that was a violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. Comment right now. Have you ever had an officer call for a canine during a traffic stop? Yes or no? 2 seconds. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Now. There are 3 trapdoors built into this protection. 3 places where your rights disappear if you are not careful. And they are specific to canine stops. The first trapdoor is called consensual extension. If an officer says, "Do you mind waiting a few minutes while my partner arrives?" and you say, "Okay," you have just consented to waiving your Fourth Amendment protection. Consenting means giving legal permission. Once you give that permission voluntarily, the clock on your constitutional protection stops. The stop is no longer being extended by the officer. It is being extended by you. Courts have upheld searches in exactly this situation. The officer does not need reasonable suspicion anymore. You handed it to him. Never say, "Okay, sure, I guess," or "fine" in response to a request to wait. That single word can cost you everything. The second trapdoor is nervousness used as reasonable suspicion. Officers are trained to catalog your behavior during a stop: shaking hands, avoiding eye contact, inconsistent answers, a strong smell of air freshener. These details get written into their report as justification for calling a canine. Courts have allowed this. One or two of these details alone is usually not enough, but 4 or 5 together can give an officer enough to legally extend your stop. The action to take right now: control everything you can control. Dome light on, hands visible. Short, direct answers. Do not over-explain. Do not ramble. Nervous chatter gives them material to work with. The third trapdoor is the free air sniff completed before you are formally detained. If an officer approaches your car and a canine handler happens to be present, walking the dog past your vehicle before you even roll down your window, that observation is admissible. No detention happened yet. No stop occurred yet. The dog signaling before you are officially pulled over is lawful in most jurisdictions. Jurisdiction means the geographic area where a specific set of laws applies. You cannot protect yourself from this one after the fact. But knowing it exists means you understand why some officers work in pairs during enforcement operations. Now we get to the single most dangerous moment of any stop involving a canine. The officer has finished running your information. The ticket is written or the warning is ready. He should be handing it back to you. Instead, he steps back from your window and says, "Hey, before you go, you mind if we just wait for the dog to come by? Just a quick check. Should be here any minute." Most people say yes, because they are scared, because they do not know they can say no, because saying no feels like an admission of guilt. It is not. Saying no is the lawful exercise of a constitutional right. It means nothing except that you know your rights. Say exactly this: "Officer, am I free to go?" That question forces a legal decision. If he says yes, drive away calmly. If he says no, you are now being detained beyond the completion of the stop. That is the moment your rights are being tested in real time. Say exactly this: "I do not consent to any extension of this stop. I do not consent to any search. Am I being detained or am I free to go?" He may push back. He may say, "This will only take a minute." He may say, "If you have nothing to hide, you do not have anything to worry about." Do not engage with that logic. Say exactly this: "I understand. I am not consenting. I am asserting my Fourth Amendment rights. Am I free to go?" Then stop talking entirely. Do not explain yourself. Do not apologize. Do not say, "I just do not want any trouble." Every word you add after that last sentence is a word that can be used against you. Silence is not suspicious. Silence is constitutional. Here is your step-by-step protocol for a canine stop. Step 1. Turn on your interior dome light the moment you pull over. Place both hands flat and visible on the steering wheel before the officer reaches your window. Step 2. Provide your license, registration, and proof of insurance when asked. Hand them over calmly. Do not reach for anything without announcing it first. Say, "My registration is in the glove box. Is it okay if I reach for it?" Step 3. Answer the officer's basic questions with short, direct responses. Your name, your destination. Keep answers to one sentence. Do not volunteer information. Step 4. The moment the officer completes the ticket or warning and returns your documents, ask calmly and clearly, "Am I free to go?" Step 5. If the officer requests you wait for a canine, say exactly this: "I do not consent to any extension of this stop. I do not consent to any search. Am I being detained or am I free to go?" Step 6. If the officer says you are being detained, do not resist physically under any circumstances. Comply with your body. Say exactly this: "I am complying. I do not consent to this detention. I do not consent to any search. I want to speak with an attorney." Then stop speaking. Step 7. If a search occurs anyway, do not physically interfere. Stand still. Observe everything. Do not give consent at any point. Saying, "Fine, go ahead," or "whatever," is consent. Say nothing or repeat that you do not consent. Step 8. Immediately after the stop ends, record a voice memo on your phone. State the time, the location, the officer's name and badge number if you obtained it, the exact words exchanged, what you consented to, what you refused, and what occurred during any search. Do this before you drive away if possible. Memory degrades fast. That memo may become evidence. Now let us run the same stop 2 different ways. Same driver, same car, same officer. The wrong way first. Thomas is a warehouse worker driving home from a double shift in Georgia. Officer pulls him over for a rolling stop at a sign. Thomas hands over his documents. Officer runs them, comes back and says, I am going to have a canine unit swing by before I let you go. Thomas says, okay, I guess. He thinks he has no choice. The officer asks, so where are you coming from tonight? Thomas says he was at work, explains the shift, mentions he took a different route than usual. Officer writes that down. Inconsistent route, possibly nervous. The canine arrives 11 minutes later. Dog signals near the rear passenger door. Officers search the entire vehicle, find a small amount of a controlled substance that belongs to Thomas's roommate, left in the car without Thomas knowing. Thomas is now arrested. His own words, the double shift, the different route, the explanation of where he had been, are in the police report as contributing factors to the officer's reasonable suspicion. Things Thomas said voluntarily, without anyone asking. He spends the night in custody. He loses his warehouse job. The case takes 14 months to resolve. Now the right way. Same lights, same stop, same officer. But this time Thomas watched this video. Officer finishes running the plates, comes back to the window and says, I am going to have a canine unit come by. Thomas looks at him calmly and says, Officer, am I free to go? Officer says, just going to be a few minutes. Thomas says, I do not consent to any extension of this stop. I do not consent to any search. Am I being detained or am I free to go? Officer pauses. He does not have reasonable suspicion. There is nothing specific he can point to. He says, you are free to go. Thomas takes his documents. He drives away. He records a voice memo at the next block. Date, time, location, officer's name, exact words. 37 seconds of audio, just in case. Nothing happened to Thomas, because nothing illegal occurred, because he knew exactly what to say and when to stop talking. Two scenarios. Same stop, same driver. The only difference was knowledge. A brief word on state laws because they matter. Duty to inform laws vary. In some states, you are legally required to tell the officer you have a firearm in the vehicle if you are licensed to carry. In other states, you are not required to volunteer that information. Know your state's rule before you drive. If you are traveling through multiple states, reciprocity applies to your carry license, but not necessarily to drug possession thresholds or search and seizure standards. Reciprocity means one state legally recognizes a right granted by another state. What is legal in your home state may not be legal in the state you are driving through. For canine stops specifically, some states have passed laws requiring officers to document every canine deployment, including the dog's track record of accuracy. A dog with a high false positive rate, meaning it signals when there is nothing to find, may have its evidence challenged in court more effectively. Know whether your state tracks this. The protection only works when everything you are doing is completely lawful in the state you are in. Let me bring everything together so it sticks. The core protection is this. An officer cannot extend a traffic stop for even 1 minute solely to wait for a canine without reasonable suspicion of a separate crime. Rodriguez v. United States, 2015, Supreme Court. That is your shield. When an officer says the canine is coming, say this, am I free to go? When the officer says wait, say this, I do not consent to any extension of this stop. I do not consent to any search. Am I being detained or am I free to go? When the officer says you are detained, say this, I am complying physically. I do not consent. I want to speak with an attorney. Then stop talking entirely. Do not consent. Do not explain. Do not apologize. Do not say okay. Most people will never hear this breakdown. They will only learn about it after the damage is already done. The next video covers what happens when an officer says, I smell marijuana, even in states where it is legal. That claim alone can trigger a full vehicle search, and the rules around it have changed dramatically in the last 2 years. Subscribe so you do not miss it. If this video helped you, hit the like button right now, and tell me in the comments, which part of this surprised you most? Was it the Rodriguez ruling? The consensual extension trap? The voice memo step? I read every comment, every single one. Knowledge is the only protection that works before the lights flash. You have it now. Use it. This video is for educational purposes about your legal rights. It is not legal advice for your specific situation. Laws vary by state. If you are facing a legal issue, consult a qualified attorney in your jurisdiction.